I still remember the sound. It wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. It was just a sharp snap of fingers, twice, cutting through the quiet hum of the executive floor like someone cracking a whip. I was standing near the service corridor doors, tablet in hand, reviewing the cooling load for the East server stack, when the sound hit my ears. "Hey! You! Facilities," a man's voice followed. I turned slowly, already knowing the type before I saw the face. Jared Cole. Newly promoted executive at NextGen Analytics. Late 30s. Perfect suit. The kind of confidence that comes from titles, not competence. "Yes?" I said calmly. He didn't look up from his phone. "I've been calling IT for 10 minutes. The conference room Wi-Fi is slow. Fix it. Now." There it was. The assumption. The dismissal. The certainty that snapping his fingers turned human beings into functions. "I'm not IT," I replied evenly. "And the network is operating within." He finally looked at me then, eyes flicking over my badge, my plain blazer, the lack of executive insignia. He smirked. "Facilities, IT, whatever. You people all fall under operations. Don't argue. Just do your job." I felt a few heads turn. Assistants. Junior managers. People who knew better than to interfere when someone with a loud voice decided to perform authority. "My job," I said, "is to ensure building systems operate according to contract." Jared laughed. Out loud. "Wow. Attitude. Listen, I don't know who hired you, but if you don't fix this in 5 minutes, I'll make sure you're gone." That was the moment. The exact moment where a man confused visibility with power. I nodded once. Understood. And I walked away. An hour later, it happened. I was back in my office, small, windowless, tucked behind the building's core infrastructure hub, when my phone buzzed. HR. Then Marcus, the building's general operations manager. "Tess," Marcus said, breathless. "What did you say to Jared?" "I told him the truth," I replied. "Why?" "He just stormed into HR and demanded your termination. Publicly. In front of his entire team." I paused. "Did he now?" They processed it," Marcus said quietly. "They thought you were a vendor employee assigned to facilities." I leaned back in my chair and stared at the ceiling. Not angry. Not shocked. Just aware. "Marcus," I said gently, "check my contract." Silence. Then a sharp intake of breath. "Oh," he whispered. "Yes," I said. Oh. I packed my bag slowly. Not because I was fired, but because my role required physical presence only under active service agreement. And as of 10 minutes ago, that agreement had been terminated. Not by me. By Jared. I walked out of the building without looking back. No confrontation. No scene. Just the soft click of access doors closing behind me. At 3:12 p.m., I enforced the contract. At 3:13, Jared's floor lost priority cooling. By 3:30, the first alerts hit. At 4:05, the executive Wi-Fi throttled to baseline tenant levels. At 4:20, restricted access zones reverted to default permissions. All compliant. All documented. All legal. Because here's what Jared never bothered to learn. I wasn't facilities. I was the landlord's infrastructure authority. I didn't work for NextGen. NextGen worked through me. The building, 36 floors of glass, steel, fiber, and chilled air, was mine to manage under a long-term operational oversight agreement. Every cable, every cooling loop, every access protocol ran through contracts I enforced on behalf of ownership. NextGen didn't rent space. They rented capacity. And Jared just cancelled it. The next morning, my phone exploded. Legal. HR, Marcus again. Tess, we need you back in the building, HR said, voice tight. There's been confusion. No, I said. There's been termination. Jared didn't have authority to. He had exactly the authority your paperwork gave him, I replied. And I honored it. By noon, NextGen's executive floor was chaos. Servers overheated and shut down automatically. Teams lost access to secure labs. Keycards failed intermittently as access tiers reset to tenant default. Nothing catastrophic. Nothing illegal. Just inconvenient. Jared, apparently, was furious. This is sabotage, he shouted, according to Marcus. She's punishing us because I fired her. Marcus tried to explain. Legal tried to explain. But arrogance has terrible hearing. That afternoon, I met with Omnitech. They'd been circling the building for months, hungry for expansion, desperate for high-bandwidth infrastructure in a downtown location. I have capacity, I told them calmly. Available immediately. Their legal counsel blinked. We were told the building was fully allocated. It was, I said. It isn't anymore. By the end of the meeting, I'd sold 70% of NextGen's former bandwidth allocation, at a premium, to their biggest competitor. Inventory shouldn't sit unused, after all. Monday came fast. NextGen's legal team finally requested a formal meeting. Jared attended. He didn't look confident anymore. You're overstepping, he said, pointing at me across the table. You can't just shut down operations because of a personal dispute. This isn't personal, I replied. It's contractual. I slid the documents across the table. Highlighted clauses. Termination triggers. Service dependencies. You fired me, I said evenly. Which terminated your priority service agreement. Everything since has been standard enforcement. Their lawyer swallowed. Jared leaned forward. Fix it. Now. I can't, I said. You no longer have an active contract. Then reinstate it. I shook my head. Capacity has been reallocated. His face drained of color. To who? I smiled, just slightly. Omnitech. The room went silent. You sold our infrastructure to our competitor? Jared whispered. I sold available infrastructure, I corrected. You released it. That was the moment it finally clicked. Not the firing. Not the outages. The realization that power doesn't announce itself. It waits. NextGen was given 30 days to vacate. No eviction notice drama. No locks changed overnight. Just a building that no longer supported them. Employees lined up at security desks. Temporary badges. Boxed equipment. Red faces. Jared tried to appeal. Ownership declined. Omnitech moved in 2 floors up. By the end of the quarter, NextGen relocated to a smaller, cheaper building across town, one with limited cooling and shared fiber. Jared resigned shortly after. I returned to my office. Same desk. Same hum of servers. Same quiet authority. Marcus stopped by one afternoon. I didn't know, he admitted. Most people don't, I said. He hesitated. Do you ever regret not saying something sooner? I considered it. No, I said. Places don't hand out justice memos. But somehow, it always finds the right inbox. I went back to work. Quietly. Efficiently. And with my fingers nowhere near snapping distance. If this story moved you, imagine what's coming next. Subscribe to Wisdom to Revenge for more powerful narrations.